and I want to welcome everyone to a Roadmap for Running and Growing a Successful Business. We have our very own SCORE mentor, Charlie O'Hearn, and this is a new presentation for us, and we're very happy to bring it to you today. But as we get going, if you're not familiar with SCORE, as some folks do join our webinars before they know a lot about SCORE, I wanted to explain to you a little bit. Our goal is to share small business information with the greater world. So we do that in a couple different ways. One is sharing of information through our website. There are templates you can download, videos you can watch, articles you can read, lots of great information. Score.org, a great place to take a look if you have a few moments and are looking for specific information. The other way we share our information is through our workshops and webinars. Most are online, although we do occasionally have them in person. We have some really great and unique topics for June. So if you haven't looked at the rest of the offerings we have, take a look at those. They are advertised through our website. They're advertised through our social media and also our newsletter that goes out regularly. The most important way that SCORE shares information, though, is through our mentoring. And our mentors are volunteers, and they come to us with a variety of skill sets and backgrounds to help the small business community. We're working with folks that are trying to decide if small business is right for them. We're working with those that are in that planning phase, and we're working with those that are already in business. People come to us for a variety of business topics, many different things, from accounting questions to marketing questions to e-commerce, you name it. We probably have had a request in that business topic. So a beginning session, if you've never had a mentoring session, it'll probably run about 40-45 minutes. They want to know about you. They want to know what your goals are, what your challenges are, and they're going to work with you to come up with a plan so that you can be successful. The wonderful thing about our SCORE mentors is they do work together as a team. So it is not uncommon for your assigned mentor to bring in someone else to co-mentor, or maybe they'll reach back to the group and ask a question that they want to get a little bit more in-depth information on for you. Their goal is to make sure that you get all the tools that you need to be as successful as you possibly can be. Getting a mentor is very easy. Score.org website, blue box, put in your zip code, and that'll match you to the chapter that is nearest you. We'll then ask you a couple of quick questions, and that information will be used to assign the most appropriate mentor for your situation. Today we are recording, and the recording will be posted probably 24 to 48 hours. It'll be at the score.org/Boston website. And you can see from the graphic there that if you go to the blue bar local workshops and go down to previously recording, you'll be able to find it there and listen to it as many times as you'd like. We do plan on taking questions today at the end. So if you wouldn't mind putting your questions into the Q&A tab on your Zoom bar, that will keep me from losing track of anything that gets submitted along the way. Everything else can go into chat. I'll be monitoring both, but it's just easier if you can put those questions into the Q&A tab. So I'm going to go ahead and pull down my share and give Charlie a chance to put up his screen and let him get ready for his sharing of his information and what he knows. So yep, we see it. It looks great, and it's all yours, Charlie.
You go. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you to those who are joining us on this lovely Wednesday morning or afternoon, depending on where you are. I am coming to you from Brewster, Massachusetts on Cape Cod, and it is just a beautiful day. I am chaperoning my my younger daughter's 5 friends and her. They had their last day of school, and they're having the time of their life. So I'll give a little bit of background on the company that I started and ultimately sold, and then talk about when I was running my business, we called it Traction, but it's really EOS, which is an entrepreneurial operating system. So in, oops, can't seem to move the slides along. Let me try one more.
If you might just
Teresa,
have to click onto this, you might just have to click onto the slide screen and then it'll start letting you advance slides, maybe. Sometimes that'll do that.
it was weird because it worked when we were,
Yeah,
there we go. Good
there
call.
you go. There.
Thank you. Okay, so the company I started, the name was Summit Educational Group. It was a tutoring and test preparation company. I started it back in 1989, right out of college. Sort of the time of Princeton Review or Stanley Kaplan. Some of you might remember that company. And I was a very independent person. I knew I didn't want to work for anybody. I also loved tutoring. And I also really had no idea what I wanted to do with my life coming out of college. And I thought maybe I would do this for a year. Ended up being something I did for 34 years. And it was an amazing experience. But from 1989 to 2011, so 22 years, we went from 0 in revenue to 2 million in revenue. And profits fluctuated wildly. And we really were at that sort of $2 million threshold for quite a long time. Felt very stuck, was frustrated, was bored, didn't really know what to do, tried a bunch of different things, different types of strategic planning. At some point, I came across a book called Traction, written by a guy named Gino Wickman. And Traction describes he calls it EOS, which is an entrepreneurial operating system. And it just completely resonated with me. It was a pretty easy read. And I hired someone who had done some kind of freelance consulting for us, very competent person who came in and helped us implement EOS into our company. And in the next 10 years, we grew from 2 million to 10 million and annually had 10 to 18% EBITDA or net income. And I attribute that sort of growth to mostly to EOS, to implementing this system. And I thought it would be useful to share that with SCORE. And I will tell you, I ultimately sold the company in April of 2022, and having implemented EOS was hugely important in that process. So, like I said, Traction, the book describes this entrepreneurial operating system, which is really a very simple, very practical, effective framework for running a business. And I recall when I was starting my business, and I've mentored a number of people. When you're just starting, you really don't know. You're behind from your head. You know, a lot of these people don't have MBAs. I didn't have an MBA, and I always felt like I was sort of reinventing the wheel. This gave me a system, gave me confidence that I was running the business in the right way. It just did so many different things. And the idea is, and this visual is sort of a good way to kind of talk about it. There are these 5 components to every business that any successful business needs to be strong in. So you need to have a strong vision. That vision component, you could think of it as a strategic plan, as a vision, as a high-level business plan. You need to have strong people, right? Like any team. think of a sports team. You need to have really strong people. Data, you need to have clarity on the data. What's important to measure? What's important to track? Are we just looking at historical data, or are we looking at data that's going to tell us about the future? Process, right? Like what processes are required to produce a high quality, replicable product or service. And then issues, which is really, why might I fail? Understanding the potential pitfalls and addressing those items uh, before they become a problem. So those are the 5 elements. They give you a way of kind of measuring how you're doing in each of those elements along the way. And traction, that final piece, and this is really the key. This is the key piece. Traction is the key piece, because we had done, in those first 22 years, we had done different strategic planning sessions, tried all different kinds of consultants, but nothing would really stick. And the reason I think Gino titled that book Traction is because this system does allow your business to gain traction. It's something that you are doing, paying attention to, implementing every week, every quarter. And he has a line that he talks about, which completely resonated with me. Vision without traction is hallucination, right? So the best example of this is like we'd spend 2 days and then months after putting a strategic plan together. And it might be this 100, 200 page binder that would just sit on a shelf, and we never gained traction with it. There might be some energy that first week after, first month after, but soon enough, it would just sort of dissipate. So the benefits, and I do think, when you read Traction and you sort of dive into EOS, they talk about it being optimal for a certain size company. I think this benefits any size company. Maybe not every single element, but I think there are elements, many elements of this process that would be super, super helpful to early startup entrepreneurs. I do it. My wife has a craft jewelry business. I think she had $50,000 in revenue last year. We implemented this process last year, and she's one person. And I think she's sort of liking it, and it's already proving to be an effective system. So sort of, here are some benefits. Simple, practical MBA, right? A lot of startup entrepreneurs don't have the sort of formal business experience. The system creates a weekly, quarterly, annual pacing to stay on track with strategy. It provides an all-in-one vision, strategic plan, business plan, which is something that's really important. A lot of the clients that I've mentored are looking for funding. They need a business plan. This gives you a very easy way to put a business plan together. You don't always feel like you have to reinvent the wheel, right? It's all been done before. You have confidence that you're operating your business in the right way, provides direction and purpose. And then these are some of the things that I really like. It provides these how-to tools, right? How to run effective meetings, how to solve issues, how to hire, train, and terminate people, how to create processes. It creates focus for the business. Again, one of the common things that I'll see with startup entrepreneurs is there's a lot of things that look enticing, and they kind of lose that focus. We call those things bright, shiny objects. If you have a team, you get everyone rowing in the same direction. And then ultimately, if you are lucky enough to get to that point where you're going to sell your business, having implemented EOS and having all of the documents that go along with it and the systems that go along with it, I can tell you, we had one sale that didn't go through, and then a sale that did. Both buyers were extremely impressed with the way our business ran. and the documentation that went along with it. So the first step is vision, right? Like, where do I want to go? And that's obviously a really important important element for any business. And the EOS provides a template. It's referred to as the VTO. And this is page 1 of the VTO. And this really, it's basically a 2-page document. I mean, when you fill it out, maybe it becomes a 3-page document, but this becomes your vision. And there are 8 questions that need to be answered on here. I won't go into every one in detail, but you can see you need to identify what your core values are. You need to identify what your core focus is. So this keeps you focused and keeps you from chasing bright, shiny objects. You identify a 10-year target, which is probably going to be a revenue target, maybe a profit target. Then you have a very succinct, concise marketing strategy where you identify your target list, what makes you unique, your proven process. And then you have a 3-year plan. And this was one of my favorite parts of the planning process. You sort of close your eyes and kind of envision, what do you want the business to look like in 3 years? And you may have anywhere from 4 to 10 bullet points, sort of high level. Here's what we think this business is going to look like in 10 years, along with a revenue projection and a profit projection. So you have the 10-year, you have the 3-year, and now you have a 1-year plan. Same thing. You're looking at the same things. What's the revenue going to be in a year? And then the goals. So the goals these are nearer term goals, 1-year goals. And again, you may have anywhere from 3 to 10 goals for the year. And then that next column are what we call rocks. And rocks are basically quarterly objectives. And these are the main priorities for the quarter that will move you toward the 1-year plan and the 3-year goal, and ultimately your 10-year plan. And then the last of the 8 questions that you have to answer is you identify your main issues, your long-term issues. And that's the VTO. And I do have an example of like our VTO if time permits. So another slice of the pie, right? Data. Data is really important, right? What numbers do you track? And it can be different for every business. And so EOS asks you to create a scorecard, and it's a weekly scorecard with the key metrics that if you're hitting on those metrics, your business is doing well. Here's an example of a score. This is not our scorecard, but it's an example of a scorecard. And this can provide the heartbeat for the business, and it can provide motivation. So if you look at this, you'll see that each measurable, each metric has an owner. For instance, if you look at the top row, Ann owns weekly revenue, and then moving down, Robert owns sales calls. David owns customer satisfaction. And then there's a weekly goal, that 3rd column. So each metric has a weekly goal. And at the weekly meeting, and I know meetings get a horrible rap, but when you run meetings according to EOS, they're tighter, they're more energetic, and they're more impactful. But at each meeting, part of it is people reporting on the metrics, on the measurables that they own. So this scorecard is presented every week, and the owner presents. And if you're above goal, we used to have green and red. Basically, red would be your below goal. And if you're below goal, that may or may not become an issue, which gets identified. And the other thing I'll mention about metrics is you try to have forward-looking metrics as much as you can so that you can predict when issues are coming and get ahead of them, as opposed to always looking at historical numbers. So another slice of the pie is people. And I found EOS extremely helpful when it came to people. I made a lot of not great hires. I would always struggle with, how do I know when to terminate someone? I had trouble putting together a great team. EOS gives you the tools to do that. So it's like, who is doing the work? And the two main things you consider is, we say RPRS, right people in the right seats. Right people are people who inherently have the core values of your company, right? If someone doesn't share the core values, they probably aren't the right person for the company. And then the second part is right seat. Is that person in the right seat? How do you decide whether someone's in the right seat? Do they get it? Do they understand the job? Do they want it? And do they have the capacity to do it? And this next tool is a really fun one. It's called the People Analyzer. And I can tell you, you can have a tendency to overuse this. We would use this when we were hiring, and we would use this if we felt there was an issue with a staff person. So across the top, you can see you have this company is, again, not our company, but those are the company's core values: humbly, confident, grow or die, help first, do the right thing, do what you say. And then the last three columns: get it, want it, capacity. Does the person get the job? Does the person want the job? Does the person have the capacity? So, and then at the bottom, that bottom row, you'll see the bar. The bar, you want employees to be at or above the bar. And that bar is defined by you, the leader of the company, or the leadership team, right? So if you look at Maria, she gets pluses in each of the core values. She's a right person. And then she has yeses in get it, want it, capacity. She's great. That's what you want. And then you look at, say, Amina, the third one down, right? She's below the bar in the first core value, humbly, confident, because this company has the bar as a plus and she's a plus minus. Kind of at the bar for the other ones, but then she's a no in get it, meaning she doesn't really get the job. She doesn't understand it. We used to have a very firm rule. If someone were a no in either GWC, get it, want it, capacity, that was not a good hire, right? If someone doesn't understand the job, they don't want the job, they don't have the capacity to do the job. So this was a super helpful tool. They also have another tool, which is like a 3-strike tool for sort of when to know when to terminate someone, which the way they deal with people was super, super helpful for our company. And then you have process, right? Process is, how will I achieve my vision as effectively as possible? And there are two kinds of processes. There are your core processes, like, hiring someone, right? You want to document that process, right? Then you have your, what we call proven process, which is more of a sales and marketing tool. And I'll show you what that looks like. I think it maybe is on the next slide. But core processes, we used to have this operating manual. It was just so huge, and it was just a manual and no one followed it. So EOS compels you to, I love the word, it's not a word, but concisify your core processes, right? So if you have a process for hiring people, they use I think it's called the Pareto principle, which is, documenting the 20% of most important steps that get you 80% of the results. You don't document every last detail. And then followed by all or shared by all, which is a really critical component. The proven process, I think everybody should do. So this was this was so my company, again, Summit Educational Group, one-on-one tutoring and test prep. This was our proven process. And I think it's really critical if you can illustrate it in this way, and this becomes a sales tool. Clients or businesses you're selling to get very impressed by this. It helps salespeople, it helps marketing people, it helps everybody get on the same page as to how the product or service that you deliver happens, right? And it should happen in the same way all the time. And it's a proven, we call it a proven process, right? Because we've proven it, right? We've proven it over and over again. We do it every time and it produces the same great result. See at the bottom there, we call them uniques, what makes Summit unique. And it's kind of this really simple one page, instead of just telling people, you're showing them, right? How we work. And this is something, I mean, I had 5 meetings yesterday, and 3 of them, I'm going to get them to do this. Like, how do you deliver your service? Let's create a proven process. Sharing a picture is better than telling. And then the last of the 5 pieces, why might I fail? What issues might arise? This is so every company, I don't care whether you're one person or 1,000 people, every company has hundreds of issues. And EOS encourages you not to shy away from issues. Like, there is an issues list. You're never, ever going to get to all the issues. But if you don't surface them, if you don't identify them, then they're just going to linger in the background and create problems. So the general idea is you have this issues list. Every week at your weekly meeting, you're identifying the top 1, 2, or 3 issues. And then you're solving them. And solving them ends up leading to tasks or to-dos. And people take those to-dos from that meeting. And then I'm not going to go into it, but EOS creates a very clear methodology for solving an issue. They call it IDS. Identify the issue, what's the root cause, discuss it, there's a method for that, and solve it. So issues and dealing with issues is a huge part of EOS. And then the last piece, right? So you have those 5 pieces. You want to be, as a company, you want to be strong in all those pieces. The last piece is traction. How do you gain traction? This all sounds great, but how do you put it into practice so you're doing these things, you're acting on the vision, you're moving forward with the vision, you're becoming a better company, you're tackling issues. How do you do that on a regular basis? And that's, again, why Gino, I think, titled the book Traction, because this is the brilliance to me of this system. And there are 2 key things. They're the rocks that I talked about, which are those quarterly objectives that are carefully chosen to move you forward down that 1-year plan and that 3-year plan. And then there are the weekly meetings. And the weekly meetings do a number of things, and I think that might be the next slide. Oh, so this is the other thing, and this proved very true for us in practice. Human beings stumble, get off track, and lose focus roughly every 90 days. So part of this process is having a quarterly kind of bigger, we were a slightly bigger company, but we had every quarter, we had a 1 full day meeting with the leadership team. And then we're kind of hopefully have completed the rocks that we set the prior quarter and setting new rocks and re-examining the vision. And then weekly meetings, you're talking about rocks, issues, and action plans. I'll just show you a real simple. So this isn't really a full, there would be more to-dos on this, but this was our weekly meeting agenda. You could do this with one person and a mentor. You could do this. Our leadership team had 10 people. And this weekly meeting was critical. So you have a segue, just everybody talk about, oh, I went fishing over the weekend, or my kid did this, or whatever it might be. And then you address the scorecard, right? Those are those weekly measurables that I talked about. And you might, if a metric has been down for a couple of weeks, you might put that on an issue, put this on the issues list. And then you review rocks. So if you own a rock, if you own a quarterly objective, you're reporting on the progress of that objective. And then customer employee headlines. So that's anything you're hearing in the market or about a client or anything along those lines. Then the to-do list, normally there'd be more to-dos here. This was just one agenda I found, and people kind of report, how did I do on the to-dos that I was assigned last week? Did you get it done? Is there any follow-up that's necessary? And then you get into opportunities and issues, and you can see that's where the bulk of the time is allocated. So again, this list might be longer, and you'll pick what's my 1, 2, or 3 top issues or opportunities or challenges that we need to solve today to move forward with the vision. So you're always addressing the things that are going to either get in the way or help you get to where you're trying to go. And then we conclude review of to-dos, and we always rated the meeting. That's something EOS encourages you to do. I'm not going to get into that, but because you want to have crisp, good meetings, and you want to make sure that they're run well. Because meetings can be a disaster if they're not run well. So here's a nice summary, kind of a nice visual, right? Traction comes from the 90-day rocks, right? So people always own quarterly rocks, and those become your priorities. And you're accountable. You're accountable for getting those done by quarter's end. Then you have individual numbers, metrics, right? Again, keeping you accountable. And then you have these weekly accountability meetings. And the little tire threads around there, indicate traction. That's how traction is gained. And that's how the company moves forward. And that's how we grew 2 million to 10 million in 10 years. And if I hadn't sold it, we would have kept growing. I'm sure of it. And so here, I don't know, so you can kind of see a real life, we call it the VTO, Vision Traction Organizer. But it really is a vision tool, it's a strategic plan, and it's a business plan all in one. So you can see we identified our core values. We did that really by looking at our best employees. If you're one employee, you kind of look at yourself, right? What made that person successful, or what makes you successful, or what's important to you for the success of the company? Relationship builders, integrity, responsive, monkeys, don't ask. High standards, team players. So when we hired someone, those were critical things for us. Core focus, right? So they divide it into your passion, which is sort of irrespective of what you're actually doing. So our passion was exceeding expectations. Our niche, this keeps you focused, test prep solutions and academic support for students in grades 4 through 12. We didn't want to do a 10-year target. We did a 5-year target. So and that was literally strictly a revenue and profit number. And then the 3-year picture, again, you have revenue and profit number. And this is where you envision what you want the company to look like in 3 years. And you don't have 50 things here. You just have, I think we have more than 10, but you really should have no more than 10 sort of higher level items that depict what the company looks like. I'm going to skip over marketing strategy, but I'll talk a little bit. So the target market, parents of students grades 4 through 12, minimum household income 200K. So our service was a high-end service, right? But we wanted to understand the demographic and psychographic makeup of our target audience. And then we had a secondary list. And then we have our 3 uniques, our commitment, our guarantee, our proven process, all that in this little box here. And then you have, again, coming more toward the present 1-year plan. You have the goals for the year, the most important goals for the year. And then you have the quarterly rocks. And you can see each rock is assigned. Someone owns each rock. And that's how you make sure you're focused on the highest priority stuff. And then we have a long-term issues list. The books, so Gino has written a number of books. These are probably the 3 most important. So if you're interested, Traction is kind of the one that I think got it all started. Then Get a Grip is kind of interesting because it's like a tale. It's like a story. It's like a fictional company and implementing Get a Grip. It was extremely helpful because it kind of shows how this all works in practice. And then Rocket Fuel. I don't think I'm going to get into that too much, but I'll talk. So he talks a lot about this visionary and integrator. I suppose this would be for slightly bigger companies. And that a lot of entrepreneurs are just visionaries and they don't have that sort of operational bent. And with some of my clients, I've experienced that. And they would really do well by complementing themselves by hiring what Gino calls an integrator. You can kind of think of it as CEO and COO. I love the terminology visionary and integrator. And the point is, a lot of small companies will just have a visionary at the top, or maybe they just have an integrator. But if you're willing to make that investment and have a visionary and integrator, each of whom has the different skill sets, it's like rocket fuel. And I definitely have experienced that. So that's the genesis of that book. So that is Traction. That is EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System. You can tell I'm a bit of a fanatic. I can tell you I tried a lot of different things, looked at a lot of different things. As soon as I read that book, Traction, I'm like, this is what we want. I can tell you everybody in our company jumped on board. Every single person in our company would tell you it was a game changer. Not just because of our growth, but just how we operated as a business. So I'm a big fan, and I think I'll end it there. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to try to answer them.
Yeah, if there's, I don't have any questions currently submitted, but certainly please, if you would like to throw something in chat or let me know that you're typing a question into chat, we can get those questions answered. We'll give it a couple seconds here, and we can get those questions answered. Now's the time. Let's see.
Teresa, just interrupt me if a question does come in. I'll just, again, one of the things I think I think you could get deterred because if you read it, it'll tell you it's I forget the threshold. Bigger companies, but there's so many benefits to not all of EOS, but parts of EOS for even these smaller companies just starting, in terms of creating a vision, in terms of having rocks, like what are your objectives for the next 90 days in terms of having metrics and measurables. So you're kind of holding yourself accountable. I mean, a good example of that, I met with a guy, lovely guy, yesterday, first meeting, and his mom and he have a cleaning, commercial and residential cleaning business. But, they're from, where are they from? If they're from Brazil but, he's just like, how do I get business? And I was like, well, how many property managers have you reached out to in the last week? None. How about the last 2 weeks? None. Like he knows he should do it. It's not something he really wants to do. But, if we can have a little scorecard with like the priority things that he should do, maybe it's like, okay, I'm not having any meetings per week. So maybe one is going to be my goal, right? Like, as Wayne Gretzky says, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So he needs to get out there, right? Like he needs to get out and meet people, but there's nothing really compelling him to. So anyway, but I'd add that.
Okay, I do have a question. What did you do to gain market share?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure I can relate it back to traction, although I think I can, because the whole process just made us a better company, a more credible company, provided tools that helped us to gain market share. So for us, the real key, this is kind of specific, but for us to penetrate schools was huge, right? If a school endorsed us in some way, or a tutoring and test preparation company, if a school endorsed us in some way, that was huge, because parents of kids at that school would then look at us and say, okay, the school is endorsing these guys, they must be good. So how to crack that was a big thing. And we just developed different tools that gave us credibility, right? That, I will tell you, that proven process piece was huge for us. Having testimonials was huge for us. We developed I mean, if you're a smaller company, you couldn't do this, but it was the college admissions testing guide. I mean, you definitely could do it even as a smaller company. It just wouldn't maybe quite have the pizzazz that ours had, but we created a college admissions testing guide, right? We were not sleazy salespeople. We were out to help. And that came through, right? That came through in our core values, right? Again, another reason core values are really important. Everybody who talked to a school from Summit kind of had that same, we care about you. We care about your kids. We're not trying to sell you. So just different. I mean, that's a big question, slightly separate from implementing EOS, but I will say that EOS put us in a much better position to gain market share, to penetrate schools, to have a better reputation with families.
All right, well, I do not have any other questions submitted, so certainly you can reach out to Charlie on your own, or you can send me an email as well, and I can help connect you to whomever you need to help you be successful or to answer questions that you might have. I'll throw my email into chat right now. It's outreach@scoreboston.org. And we can help you move forward, whether it's the Score Boston chapter or another chapter in our district. Again, we all have the same goal, which is to help you be successful with your business. Let's see if there's another question. Did you know you would sell it when you started it?
No, I mean, I did it for the love of doing it. I love tutoring. When I started, I just I just love tutoring, and 34 years is a long time to run a business. Um, and as the company grew, I, I wasn't tutoring. I wasn't doing what I love to do, I guess. And so I still liked it. The just any kind of challenge and growing, that wasn't very interesting to me. But what was in my heart was tutoring and helping people one-on-one, which is why I do score mentoring. I would say at some point, you grow it to a certain size, and then people start approaching you and you start thinking about it. I got older, I got married, I had kids. It's like, it's hard not to kind of start dreaming that dream. But that was not, I would say I'm not the typical entrepreneur who starts a business, sells it, starts another one. Like, this was my livelihood. This was my love. This was my baby. This is what I did for way longer than I ever thought I would do it. But yeah, at some point it became a thing. And then it just kind of gained momentum because there were more and more people who were interested in buying Summit. Um, and the number was such that, like, I'm like, okay, I mean, I'm 58, did not expect to be retired at 58, but like, I was like, okay, I could actually retire comfortably by selling it. And I was burned out. And I wanted to give my three key lieutenants, um, my chief brand person, my CFO, and my COO, my integrator. Um, I wanted to give them an opportunity to kind of sail on their own.
Um, I just started a confectionery sample launch. What can I do to stimulate people?
I don't know that I understand the question fully. What do
Right.
you mean by simulate people?
Yeah, and I'm not sure
Like,
which people. Yeah,
I can
we're
take a
talking.
guess. I can take a guess. I don't know. I don't know. It's a sole practitioner, I assume. Um, a score mentor would be perfect, right? Like, so I help my wife, right? And I'm kind of a mentor for her. That can sometimes not be the healthiest thing, but um, so we can do a lot of these exercises. Uh, she does them with me, so they're just two of us. If you're looking for people like bounce ideas off of, which is always a common complaint or concern or issue for sole practitioners, you can set up. I had a small group of sort of tangentially competitive people. We would have a monthly lunch, found that super helpful. Um, I definitely had mentors. I made sure I had mentors, and I probably had five different people with different levels of expertise. Not score. I wish I had known more about score. Um, but just five different people, and because it was too much. You're just playing ping pong in your own head if it's just you. You need to have other people that you can bounce ideas off of and talk to, and vent and cry and complain and all that stuff.
I did get into a little bit more on that question, but I asked another question as a follow-up, so we'll come back to it. But
Okay.
I have another one. At what point of your business did you realize that you needed to hire more people?
Yeah, no, that's a good one. So again, I'm just going to tie it back to EOS because, yeah, and this is something I didn't cover, but this is the people part. They have what's called an accountability chart. Most people would call it an org chart, but their org chart is an accountability chart, and it's different, and in my opinion, is better. Um, and part of the process, so you have to envision your business, right? Where you want your business to be, say in a year, 3 years. And then forget about actual people and just make your accountability chart, make your org chart, right? I need a salesperson, I need this. You may even be all those people, right? But at some point, you know, at some point, you can't do it all. You're gonna burn out. And the hard decision is it's gonna cost me money to hire someone. And it's hard to have the confidence that that person is gonna pay for themselves and then some. But if you've done the vision planning, if you've done the accountability chart, if you've addressed issues, it's going to become very clear. I need to hire someone. And by not hiring someone, I'm stagnating. The business is stagnating. And maybe the business is going in the wrong direction. But if you hire someone, that person is going to pay for himself or herself or themselves. So it's one of the reasons you need to have a process. You need to have this entrepreneurial operating system because it's going to help you with those types of decisions.
Other than the people analyzer, are there any other ways you can tell that you got the right people in the right seats?
I mean, so you'll see, right? So let's say you have your weekly meeting, right? And you have your scorecard and you've got a person who's constantly falling short on their measurables, right? Maybe I'll just use salesperson because it's the easiest. Like you have a salesperson and that salesperson is, if the goal is to have 10 calls a week and that salesperson has got 1 call 1 week, 2 calls the next week, 4 calls the next week, there's an issue there, right? There's an issue. And then you may do the people analyzer. And then you may also put that person on this sort of what they call a 3-strike plan. It's not as all negative as it sounds, because that first meeting with the person is much more supportive and sort of communicating what they're doing wrong and then giving them concrete steps for moving forward. And then you kind of have a 1 or 2 month period where they should do those things. If they don't, you have a second strike meeting. But again, the system, I feel like I'm being lazy defaulting to the system but I had all those questions before I implemented this system and I had no idea what to do. When you implement this system, it's going to surface these issues and it's going to give you tools for kind of moving through the issues.
How do you work with a partner who challenges your vision?
So I had a partner early on and it was terrible. It was awful. And this is before I implemented traction. If it's just a partner, so one of the tenets of VOS is open, honest communication. If it's just you and a partner, I think that still applies. I think it's just you have to be able to work together. That's why the thing I didn't have right when I had a partner was he and I were very similar. We had the same skill sets. So we weren't complimenting each other. We were stepping on each other's toes. We did not have open and honest communication. It ended badly. We don't talk today, which is really a shame because we were really good friends in college. If you have a partner and you have a leadership team where it's you, the partner, and other people of the team, those conversations can actually happen in the quarterly meetings. So we had some pretty uncomfortable, open and honest conversations in the 10-person leadership team about individuals who were on the leadership team. And I would say on average, we probably changed 1.5 of those 10 people every year. Because you want a strong team. And sometimes it's as simple as they don't want the job that they're in, right? But EOS compels you to move down a path of open and honest communication. It's the only way to get to the bottom. So that's just what I would say is you have to be able to have open, honest communication. I suppose you could hire an arbitrator of some sort, third-party person to help you kind of navigate it through. But like most companies don't have an HR, that's how you don't have an HR department, you don't have an HR person, you don't have an EAP program. So you could go outside. Like I had one of my mentors who kind of helped. It wasn't that wasn't great because it wasn't his job, but the open and honest communication is any relationship, right? Any effective team, any effective relationship, you have to have open and honest communication.
All right. Well, I think that's covers all the questions. I want to thank everyone for joining us today, and thank you, Charlie, for presenting this great presentation. If anyone has any questions, please reach out. We're here to help. Have a great rest of your day.
All right. Thanks, everybody.